It's almost January, and the first couple of rounds of signings have been completed for the Canadian Premier League. So I think it's time for me to look at how this blossoming new league is doing, and what signs for the future we can see, and like how the long-term survival of this league is looking based off of what we already know about the Canadian Premier League. So after the first couple of rounds of signings, the salary cap for the league has been announced to be about $750,000, which is quite low. I know people were expecting about a million. 750,000 is, I mean, for a starting league, it does fit the like mentality of like the 60,000, 40 to 60,000 a year salaries that was expected, and like was promised to players before the league started. But with it only being 750,000, it means that like the odds of a Toe St. Ricketts coming to the Canadian Premier League, or like maybe even a Jordan Hamilton, someone who like has MLS experience and has played a bit in the MLS, but like has fallen out of the MLS recently, possibly will not be able to go to the Canadian Premier League because they'll want a six-figure salary, and the Canadian Premier League just currently does not have the salary cap to allow six-figure salaries, which is going to hurt the league slightly in the beginning because it's going to have very little name recognition for people who aren't hardcore soccer fans. Even for people who are quite large soccer fans, such as myself, like I know Nick Ledgerwood and Kyle Becker, and besides that, I really do not know many people from these first couple of signings. So it's going to be rough in terms of having name recognition, just being able to like draw people in because of names they recognize. You're not going to be able to do that. They're going to have to go for a more unorthodox method of marketing. I do like how currently many teams are advertising the brand, and like with season tickets, a lot of the teams are giving out a free jersey included with your season ticket, which I think is a tremendous idea. It's first off, it motivates people to buy season tickets because like for a lot of these teams, season tickets are only like $250 for like the cheapest bracket, and then you get a free $100 jersey with it. So I mean, with that sort of deal, seasons tickets are a no-brainer if you think you're going to go to like even two or three of the games, is that all you're planning on going to. Just getting the free jersey with the season's tickets, that's a huge incentive to get season tickets, and it's great marketing because now you're getting jerseys distributed without people having to spend the money to get jerseys, which is kind of expensive because jerseys are a very expensive item to have. But what the Canadian Premier League should do in terms of setup and marketing a lot is they need to keep things simple. My biggest gripe with the MLS is how complicated it is. MLS, if you look at their roster rules and regulations and like their salary rules, it's literally impossible to understand. I've spent a lot of time looking, like just trying to read through the MLS roster rules and regulations page. It's like a book, and it's just entirely too complicated. I think that like a salary cap is a good idea. It's a very North American idea. There isn't really a salary cap in any of the European soccer leagues, I don't think. I know like the Premier League, Bundesliga, all the main ones don't have salary cap. The salary cap is a very North American thing, and it follows much more North American sports. Now, I know that like the soccer traditionalists, the football traditionalists, will want the league to be more like the European leagues. But I feel like for a North American audience, you need something that looks more like the NHL or the NBA in terms of like your salary cap, and like basically any team can be competitive because of that salary cap. Again, maybe that's just the NHL because the NBA has some issues there. Like I think a salary cap is a good idea because it keeps everyone competitive. It means that like in different years, different teams will have a chance. You can't just have one team spend 10 times more than everyone else and win every year, which would be terrible for growth of the game in Canada, because honestly, I think the best case scenario for this league right now is that like every year any team will have a shot to win, so that like because the country's so spread out and the teams are so spread out, like you only really can identify with your local team. So to have every team kind of have a shot to be in it, so that you can have like kind of championship favorites in different parts of the country every year would be huge for the growth of the game in Canada. So I think having a salary cap's great, but it needs to be like what the NHL does in terms of salary cap, having a set salary cap, and none of this MLS targeted allocation money, general allocation money, designated players. Keep it simple. Keep a hard salary cap. You can't spend over that salary cap. And hopefully in future years you can raise that salary cap a little bit so you can start signing more talented players, because right now $750,000 is not going to cut it for a Division 1 league. But yeah, for the most part, I like what the Canadian Premier League's doing. I like the mentalities that most of the teams have. I like the signings for what the salary cap is. I think the signings have been very good. Basically, I like what's been set up with this league. I think that it has great potential to grow. It has great potential to become a full nationwide league with teams in every major city. I think that really, if they are planning on expanding for 2020, I know that there's like some hope that they can get up to 10 teams. Honestly, if in 2020 they can get a team in Quebec somewhere, either Quebec City or Laval, and like if Ottawa Fury joins, I know there's a lot of annoyance with Ottawa Fury right now, and I know that there's a lot of stuff going on, and I don't know if they're the best organization to have enter the Canadian Premier League, but I mean, I think a team in Ottawa at some point will have to happen in this league, whether it be the Fury or someone else. If it is the Fury, they can join in 2020 easily. So, like, if the league wants to expand to 10 teams by 2020, you get like Laval, Ottawa, and then maybe like a Moncton or a Saskatoon. Honestly, I'm very interested to see where this league goes. If they are successful enough to expand in 2020, honestly, I think just going to 8 teams and a Quebec team will be fine. It won't be the end of the world. The Quebec market is extremely important to hit. There is potential to have the like multi-tiered divisions with promotion relegations that everyone's talking about. I think that we are at least 10 years out from seriously considering that. It's going to be slow going, especially with how low the salary cap is. I think like the first things that have to happen is you got to build your fan base, you got to get people going to the games, you got to get salary cap over $1 million. That, I think, is the goal for the first year, is get enough fans and enough support that you can get salary cap over $1 million. And as you'll be able to sign bigger name players, the fans will come, the casual fans will come, and the league will hopefully succeed.